It is my immense honor to join the Council for Inclusive Capitalism with the Vatican as a steward and to represent the Ayala Group of companies in this global movement to help reframe the orientation of the capitalist system. I've long been a firm believer in the virtues of the capitalist system across nations, including those previously against it. Capitalism has lifted millions out of poverty. It has improved the lives of billions more and created dynamic and adaptive societies with a plethora of choices and life-changing conveniences. Free market competition has driven down pricing and expanded access to quality goods and services, to education and travel and technology that fueled waves of entrepreneurship, new industries, and game-changing innovations that in turn fostered the creation of jobs and income and wealth. An ideal virtuous cycle, it would seem. But the capitalist ecosystem, despite its proven history of success, is still quite fragile and has led to growing inequalities between segments of our society. COVID-19 has shaken that fragility to the core and threatens to worsen those inequalities. Millions who have recently or marginally been lifted out of poverty have been pushed back into it, and business slowdown and shutdowns resulting in job cuts. Basic services such as water, electricity, healthcare, education, dignified housing, and internet connectivity are further out of reach now for large segments of the population. We have to find ways to compensate for these wide disparities. All of us who thrive on the successes of capitalism need to have a sense of responsibility and empathy to counteract the forces of inequity that the system also creates. Over the past 187 years since the founding of the Ayala Group of companies, we have evolved our philosophy and practice around our role as an institution. We realized that we needed to address societal pain points if we wanted to remain relevant to the changing dynamics of the Philippines. And so we aligned Ayala to the National Development Agenda and expanded into businesses that provide basic services such as banking, housing, telecommunications, water, energy, education, and of course, healthcare. And we broadened our definition of our stakeholders to include our host communities, well beyond our shareholder and customers. We knew that success would not be sustainable for the company if the very ecosystem that underpinned our success also did not share in that prosperity. There is no better stress test for our commitment to inclusive capitalism than the COVID-19 crisis. When the pandemic hit, we focused our efforts on three priority segments. Our first priority was to protect our employees. We wanted to make sure that they felt financially secure and physically healthy. And so we provided wage continuance, leave conversions, loan deferments to our direct employees, and gave stipends to employees of our third-party providers, including about 70,000 construction workers, security guards, and maintenance personnel who would otherwise have been on a no-work, no-pay arrangement. We built dedicated medical facilities for our employees and their families. We offered tools for remote working arrangements and digital courses for upskilling and training. The second priority was to ensure that our business ecosystem stayed in place as we collectively tried to recover. We gave many of our mall tenants a reprieve on rent. Our banking, telco, and water utility companies deferred loan payments and gave breaks on fees and interest charges. We set up the Ayala Enterprise Circle to help the micro, small, and medium enterprises, or what we call the MSMEs in our system, about 250,000 of them, to survive and pivot their businesses. The third order was to support the community at large, especially those most economically vulnerable. In a developing country like the Philippines, in a burgeoning urban center like Greater Manila, this was a large segment of the population, and alone, we could only do so much. But in partnership with others in the private sector and with the government, we collectively scaled our impact. We led a private sector partnership that distributed emergency shopping vouchers and medical assistance to over 14 million individuals. A total of 270 firms quickly came together, with some of the biggest donors committing within the first 48 hours. It was really quite incredible. Everyone understood that they had a broader responsibility, and this created a very interesting dynamic in our country. a sense of common purpose, and a coming together of different groups who were fierce, direct competitors on the business front. In public-private partnerships, we continue to help ramp up capabilities in the country's fight against COVID-19. We began by building biomolecular labs, converting arenas and convention centers into pandemic facilities, donating lab equipment, test kits, food, and PPEs to the frontliners. The public-private partnerships have since then expanded greatly to include data management, contact tracing, LGU training, citizen education on minimum health standards, and more recently, a comprehensive vaccine roadmap for the country. As we look ahead, we commit to continue aligning the strategies of the Ayala companies to the principles of shared value, as well as to the progressive agenda outlined by the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Once again, I'm deeply honored and humbled to be part of this visionary group. The pain points we confront are huge, and we need far-sighted, sustainable solutions to multiple and simultaneous crises: a health crisis, and an economic crisis, and a humanitarian crisis, and an environmental crisis. But I believe that no challenge is insurmountable if we harness our collective ingenuity and energy, most especially when we're driven by a shared commitment to make a meaningful difference in the lives of people and the future of our children on our planet. The Council for Inclusive Capitalism is an excellent coalition to push this agenda forward. I'm committed to contribute and to learn. On solidarity, there lies our sustainability. Thank you for this opportunity.